Hi everyone, it is August 8, 2019. I'm sorry that this is coming a little late. Brian, Mike of Mike Morales, Brian of High Impact Flicks and Blogs. I just want to say thank you to both of you. And your support has meant far more to me than you will ever know. And boy, is support we all need. As the tyrannical tentacles dig themselves deeper and cement themselves in this country, we need, tyranny becomes stronger. We need to get our support for one another stronger. And this is how you do it. So thank you very much for letting people know that no, I can't post on Never Lose Truth. On my backup channel. Mike, I really, really appreciate it. I also want to clear up a few things. I had comments from people who were saying, well, you posted this video saying you can't post. I didn't post this video when I couldn't post. Ironically, I posted this late at night saying, I keep forgetting to say subscribe to my backup channel. I posted it the night before YouTube hit me with that strike. All I did was change the title of that video. I also got comments from people who were saying, well, how is your video still up if YouTube hit it with a strike? I said in the video, they didn't hit the video. They hit a link below my video, which is rather surprising. The link was to is to the manifesto of the El Paso shooter. Drudge is pretty much mainstream media. So that link, I get a community guideline strike. I violated the community guidelines because apparently that link is me encouraging or trying to get funding for terrorist organizations. Yeah, that's me. But they didn't take down the video, which is really, I'm talking in the video about the manifesto. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe manifesto now is a word that is picked up by AI. But look, it doesn't matter anymore what we do. Life has just become walking through a field of hidden landmines. And you just, take that wrong step. But it's a step you've always taken. But now it's going to blow you up and create a lot of mess. Yeah, that's what we're living now. So, no, I didn't post when I couldn't post. I just changed the title. And they left the video up. Look, nothing is making sense anymore. That creates the ripple effect of living now in a world where nothing makes sense. That creates problems with people. I was wondering, do they think that I'm lying? Well, in the video I show that I got that, violation. Well, it wasn't this video. The video's on my backup channel. But when you are talking with someone and you're describing an event that makes no sense whatsoever, people just don't believe you. This is the world that has manifested due to a deliberate construction of a world that nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. I also want to point out that, this video that I posted of this man speaking to his city council a resident of Greensboro, North Carolina, telling his city council, no way are you going to take away my right to have a gun. You seem to be coming after the majority who are law-abiding citizens, taking away their rights instead of going after those who are committing the crimes. Well, this was a very passionate speech. And it was just coming from the heart. It was an extemporaneous speaking to a city council. I posted it because this is the kind of man who lives his principles. I don't know him. Why do I say that? Because you can hear it in his voice. You can hear the strength of his beliefs in his individual right to own a gun, and it should not be taken away. That resonated with an awful lot of people. So what we are hearing on mainstream media, this racist chant that, wow, it's endless, right? We lived the Obama years, we're living now the Trump years. It just goes on and on and on. And what they are saying, well, I posted on that CNN host who tweets out that Trump supporters should be eradicated because they are a racist scourge. Okay, we have hit a new low in terms of what we are seeing on mainstream media. Now, the obvious is staring us in the face. The obvious of that tweet, everyone should have, those who still watch CNN, should have been calling CNN to get that guy fired. Get him off the air. Because that is hate speech. That is calling for the killing of an awful lot of ordinary Americans. This is unprecedented. But the Trump supporters, they simply want, yes, their country back as it was. You know, a country ruled by law, a country that actually enforces immigration law. No, they're not racists. This is a tactic that is used to transform a free country into a tyranny. Nothing, you can't, don't give people the opportunity to have rational, reasonable debate. Just shoot them down and call them names. And that's what we are now living with mainstream media doing exactly the same thing. So, I noted, and I was glad to see, and as I am always, that when I'm reading those comments and I'm seeing an awful lot of my subscribers who are white say how much they love this man, how much they want this man to be living next to him, how they want to have coffee with him. Oh, wow. So this country is just riddled with the disease of racism. Do you see that in your area? I don't see it. In South Carolina, the history of South Carolina, wow. It's known as the racist state, but no longer. No longer. Yes, there still is racism, and for anybody who can claim that there's no racism, well, you're just going to the extreme, and that's a lie. But racism is a disease of the heart and the mind and the soul. And the individual, the only way to eradicate the racism is for that individual to do the work necessary to cure themselves of their disease. No legislation is going to do it. Taking away guns from people, it's just not, common sense. But sense is gone. Common sense, forget about it. It's gone. Nothing is making any sense. It's kind of like, screaming at somebody for buying too many apples when they actually bought oranges. But they won't listen to you. That's how low we have become in discourse. South Carolina, a couple of years ago, I'm listening to local news. This was during the Obama years. The race card played so often. And this guy on local news in South Carolina, and he must have been my age, and I'm 60, and he said, nothing has changed in this country. Wow. My jaw dropped. How could anybody say that? Especially somebody in South Carolina. Nothing has changed. This is one of the greatest things about South Carolina, for me, to see how much has changed. And I am somebody who will walk up to strangers if I feel they're open, if I get that sense, and have a conversation. And I have spoken to several black South Carolinians, and they said they knew that Obama was playing the race card. They knew that mainstream media was trying to get us to hate one another. They didn't fall for it. And everyone said how anybody could say that nothing has changed in South Carolina when they know everything. Their life is not the life that blacks in South Carolina were living not too long ago. Hey, the 60s. I see, and I am observant. When I go out in the world, I observe. And as I'm walking around the track, I see these young kids, 10 to 12 years old. They were playing soccer. And who's on the sidelines? The black and white mothers yakking it up together, laughing together. You would not have seen that decades ago. I see the kids, the teenagers, black and white, friends. I see the black in Anderson, South Carolina, get out of their cars that are Mercedes and BMWs. And there are middle class and upper middle class, as well as lower class. A lot has changed. And without that constant mainstream media screaming, nothing has changed, whites are racist, the white privilege, which, well, I will be posting because there has been a privilege. The majority rules in every society until it's taken over by tyranny. But the majority rules. We've been a white country. The majority has been white. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to go into a whole other subject. But I will be posting a Just Talking video about my experiences with racism. So, but, just to hear the constant drumbeat, of the racism in this country. How Americans can't see that mainstream media, government officials, leaders, they are fueling these flames artificially to get people to hate one another. Because when you are so obsessed with these issues that come out of mainstream media, you're preoccupied. You're fighting the wrong enemy because you've been influenced by listening to all of this. You don't have your mind quite right. In fact, your thinking has been taken over by mainstream media and these government officials. So the individual needs to get their mind back and start thinking for themselves. Without that constant screaming how racist this country is, and that is our past, and unfortunately, we have ignored the issues of our collective past, just like the individual ignores their own issues from their own past. And that's why this card can be played so easily, with a whole lot of people getting influenced by it. But if we didn't have this constant racist claim coming at us, now coming at, wow, Trump supporters, racist scourge, that Americans can hear that, and those who are still watching CNN, that they are not screaming to get that guy fired. Wow, that speaks volumes about the American people collectively speaking. But we are absolutely living a dangerous time. If we were not hearing all of that, I believe that we would have just naturally come out of the racism that has stained our past. Just based on my experience living in South Carolina, I'm not saying that there is no racism. Unfortunately, there still is. But things have changed remarkably. You can read the comments underneath the videos that I've posted. You know, how it's not the color of skin, but it's the character that comes shining through when you hear somebody speak the truth and you hear somebody stand up for what is right. I don't see very many people caring about the color of the skin. All right. I also want to show you that we are a people who are now very traumatized. We've been led here deliberately to panic. And you might have seen this, Times Square, the panic from a motorcycle backfiring.
Hundreds of people ran for their lives after a motorcycle backfired in Times Square last night. Here's what it sounded like. Yeah, well, that sound had people just panic. Tonight, we're learning more about those chaotic moments from the people who were there. In a similar scene at a mall in Utah, a sign fell and many mistook the noise for gunfire. And in Virginia this afternoon, the USA Today headquarters was evacuated after a false report of a man with a gun. Eyewitness News reporter Kimberly Richardson live in Times Square with more. Kimberly?
Sade, the NYPD works closely with businesses here in Times Square, actually training some employees on what to do if there is a real threat. Last night, they passed with flying colors. And in an exclusive interview, you'll hear from a manager of a pub who helped people when they needed it most.
when you hear them pop off, the first thing to do is run.
In this new surveillance video obtained by Eyewitness News, that's exactly what everyone did. Ran for their lives into a restaurant on West 47th Street, convinced there was an active shooter in Times Square. The reason why? That sound. Hundreds heard it and scattered. In this exclusive footage from O'Lunny's, there you see manager John Gallagher out front helping folks into the pub. He's talking only to Eyewitness News.
Like maybe a shooter or something like that.
All right, so there was, if you've seen these videos, you are seeing a people on edge. And a people on edge mean that you don't have healthy people. The reason I'm saying this is because we don't. Across the country now, Americans are traumatized. They've been beaten down by these events, the mass shootings. They don't want to look into what could possibly be behind. They don't want to look into false flags, staged events, drills that are presented by mainstream media as live, actually happening, a real event. They don't want to know. Because that means they're living in a country that's very, very profoundly sick and twisted. But yes, since 9/11, it's been one thing after another. One thing after another for 18 years leaves a people on edge, stressed. Many who are still comfortable don't understand the stress that is going on inside them. And when something happens, you suddenly see the response of panic. Especially when they're around others who are panicking as well. It's an energy that feeds on itself. And suddenly you see this wave, just this contagion of panic fall throughout the entire crowd. This is right before they see other people panicking. As you can see, these people have not heard the motorcycle backfiring. You don't hear anything. They're just, living their night in New York City. Okay, so this is from a motorcycle backfiring. Can you imagine shit hits the flan? Flan. No. Shit hits the fan. Americans are going to... We're already seeing behavior that is really pretty crazy. But now, when we have events, it doesn't seem as if Americans can really accurately think straight. Everybody is so scared. This was the point, to bring Americans to a traumatized state, because you can move them around with anything, a motorcycle backfiring. A scared people are so easily taken over and destroyed. And that's why it resonates with so many when you see someone, an individual stand, who, sorry for the noise, an individual stand with no fear. When people are stressed beyond belief, the electromagnetic frequencies, their cell phones, the cell towers, the Wi-Fi, the Glen towers, the gadgets, these electromagnetic frequencies cause stress. They are stressing out the body. So even those who, well, without all of these events that are occurring that only add to the stress, Americans don't realize that they are stressed already. That's why these frequencies are such a great weapon. They're invisible, and they induce subtle changes in every individual. Stressed, chronic stress leads to the individual breaking down and regressing, which means that they start behaving as children. You know, the immaturity comes out. You can't fight anything. You can't fight against the tyranny that now is so obvious when you have a scared, childlike population. So any noise now, you're seeing people exhibit the PTSD that they experience. We've been brought to a place where most people are, they're experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder. It's one of the reasons why I've been saying we live in a psychiatric institution where Americans, on the whole, which means the majority, are mentally ill. And I don't say that in a derogatory manner. Recognize we are not a well people. So, you know, it's what we are looking at now. It should, at the very least, beg questions in people's minds. When we have mainstream media, news hosts calling for the killing of that racist scourge, you know, the other team, the Trump supporters, you know that we are living something that we have never lived before. And that's why you better fight like hell to keep your guns. The guns are not going to protect you from the government. The guns are not going to protect you from the military. The guns are going to be useless for the time, if we live it in our lifetime, martial law. The guns will protect you from the crazy Americans that go after you. And that's why, with Trump now, has he already signed red flag? Well, clearly not, but Congress, I posted a video, I think a year ago, on Congress, the legislation that was introduced, which was a nationwide red flag law. When you have federal law, it trumps state law. Well, states need to fight against the federal law, but they're getting ready to pass it. Trump will sign it, and every state will abide by red flag laws, which means anyone, well, some, I guess, can just be, if family, some states have red flag laws that state that a family member, if they call the police and claim that another family member is in danger, whether to himself or others, the police will go pick him up, throw him in a psychiatric institution, and take away the guns. I know a lot of families that have so much hatred for their own that, yeah, a family member that wants revenge against another family member, I could see it happening. But Americans can't think straight. Their perceptions are off. And you have a lot of people panicking over nothing. So you say one thing and somebody misinterprets it. They call the police. And the consequences of a federal red flag law will leave an awful lot of innocent people being picked up and their guns taken away. Well, all right, let me end this video by saying that unfortunately, even within the awake crowd, there are a lot of people who are sitting back and just watching everything unfold, not protecting by taking action their own rights, their own property. So this is all coming to your door. And unfortunately, it is coming sooner rather than later. But the craziness that we are seeing every single day, yeah, guys, you have no idea. You won't know how much your support means to me. We really do need to behave in ways that make the support here in this community stronger and stronger. And we have to be proactive in that. So thank you, Mike, and thank you, Brian, for supporting me. To all that have come over from Mike Morales and Brian's channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing. And even though the cyber world is so limiting, it's all so many of us have to go to feel, you know, that we can find like-minded people, that we can find the support that we need, because real life has really become something that is, well, I'm going to be posting a video on these frequencies that can change and alter an individual's behavior, their perceptions, their beliefs, religious, political, and that may very well be what we are all facing now. But life has left us with no security now. And we just need to be, we need to work harder to strengthen the trust here in this community and the support that we can give one another. It's crucial, it's critical to getting through this time. Thank you all for listening.